Hello friends, my name is Hannah. Thanks for watching this gentle yoga practice, watching and participating of course. For a gentle yoga, you're not going to be building a whole lot of heat, although there will be some heat because muscles relax better after they have been flushed with blood. So we will be doing a little bit of strength training, working a little bit with strength. We'll also be working with lengthening the muscles, but mostly the emphasis in a gentle yoga class is to relax, to release tension, to relieve yourself from stress and worry, to open and create space within you. So even though this is a gentle yoga practice, there is still the potential that you may be injured, so please stay safe. We'll be going through basic postures, basic breathing techniques or pranayama techniques, and also building up your own body awareness, building up your awareness on correct and safe alignment throughout a yoga practice. So to begin, let's move around a little bit before we spend some time in this seated position. So feel free to also, if you do have a couple of blankets or towels, go ahead and get those now and come back to your mat or the floor. When you're ready, straighten your knee joints, put your legs on the ground, your hands on the ground behind your pelvis, kind of lean back into your arms and just start to move your legs. So kind of waving the feet here. Breathe in and out through your nose, starting to deepen your breath. Eventually, bring this movement into your ankle joints. Start to rotate your ankles, rolling them, pointing your toes, flexing your ankles. Pause that, gently clunk the knees on the ground. Feel some pressure on the backs of your thighs, the backs of your calves. And then from here, make sure you have plenty of space on either side of you. Bend your knees, push your feet on the floor, and then take your feet wide apart, so almost as wide as your mat. Feel free to pick up your pelvis and set it back down again. And go through a couple of what we call windshield wipers. You send your knees left and right several times. So the main purpose of this exercise is to bring your hips into internal and external rotation. When your knees move to the left, for example, aim to have your right knee on the floor and your left heel kind of pressing into the very top of your knee joint. And then same thing for the other side. So the inner knee comes right up to the opposite leg's heel, the opposite foot's heel. Try that a few times with that awareness. And we're going to add some twists in your spine and a little bit of an arm movement. So the next time your knees drift towards the floor, pick up your arm that's furthest away from your knees, maybe adjust the arm that's on the floor, start to reach towards the wall behind you, bringing a twist in your spine. And inhale, unwind, put that hand on the floor, lift your knees, check out the next side. Bring the knee to the heel, heel to the knee as you reach through your finger webbings. That hand that's on the floor, ground down in between your pointer and thumb fingers. All right, go back and forth a couple of times. Maybe or consider exhaling as you go through your twist. Inhaling as you come out. Come back to center. Bring your knees up towards the sky. Bring your legs closer together. Grab onto the lower half of your body. Round your upper back. Rock a little side to side. Just in a nice, soothing, comfortable way. All right, from here, allow your spine to come up And then grab your 2 towels or 2 blankets. Bring them behind you. So, one thing about a yoga class is that there can be a lot of sitting, and we need to know how to sit safely and properly. By properly, I mean sitting in a way that best supports your spine, in a way that it strengthens it and stabilizes it. So, your 2 towels behind you, put your pelvis on top, on the edge of a fold. So not in the middle, on the edge. Bring your knees to a cross-legged seated position. Now, if having the legs like this bothers your knee joints, you can straighten the knees out in front of you in staff pose, or put maybe 2 additional towels underneath your knee joints. Now, your pelvis, the front of it shifts forward as your tailbone lifts a little bit behind you. Feel your 2 sits bones, those 2 sharp bones on the bottom of your pelvis, ground into the floor. And then from there, elongate your spine. So allow your elbows to be heavy at your side, elongating from your pelvis all the way up through the crown of your head. Shoulders, allow them to relax at your sides. This takes a lot of strength and practice to sit like this. So we won't be here for that long. Just a little lesson or a little class on sitting. Allow your eyes to close softly and take a few deep breaths in and out through your nose. From here, start to round your spine and bring your spine into a back bend. And we call this cat and cow. And we can do it in several different variations. But in seated, move your pelvis. So tuck your tailbone in and under as you round your spine. Separate your shoulder blades. Bring your chin into your chest. And then exhale as you pull your heart forward, but mostly up. Open your chest, slide the shoulder blades together, lift your tailbone behind you. And then go right back into a neutral spine and then round your spine once again. So going back and forth at your own pace here, find out when it feels better to exhale. It might be different than what I'm suggesting, but match your movement with your breath and your breath with your movement. That can sometimes be the hardest thing for beginners. All right, slowly come back to a neutral spine here. One more time, elongate from pelvis throughout the crown of your head. And then lean forward, remove your towels or your blankets, set them aside, and slowly and safely come onto your back. So bring your pelvis towards the center of your mat, grab onto your legs, and slowly descend down onto the floor. Once you are on the floor, make any adjustments in order to feel comfortable, and then pull your knees into your chest, hold on to either the backs of your thighs or your shins, and rock left and right, side to side. Really allow your neck to be soft so your head rolls lazily on the floor with you. Still breathing. Good. And then from here, go ahead and set your legs down on the ground. So straighten the knees. Come into a what we call a supine position, which is just another way of saying lying on your back, your belly up. Now, if lying here on your back is uncomfortable, you can always put something underneath your knees in order to prevent them from hyperextending. Your towel could also come underneath your head. but start to relax and soften here. Feel free to close your eyes or just have a soft gaze on something up above. Begin to deepen your breath. We're going to work with your first pranayama technique here on your spine. So. When you are ready to begin Dirga Pranayama or full yogic breath, inhale through your nostrils, bring the breath down into your belly, up into your lungs, and then ending in your upper chest. Pause, and then exhale through your nostrils. Use muscular engagement to pull your lower ribs in towards each other. Pull your belly button in towards your spine or towards the floor in this case. Squeeze out all the last remaining breath, all the last lingering air. Pause, and then inhale once again, filling belly, filling lungs, and filling chest. Exhaling through the nostrils, using muscular strength to squeeze the breath out. As you go through the next several breaths using this technique, try to maintain a very slow rhythm, as slow as you can without denying yourself oxygen. This is a very dynamic way of breathing, much different than when you breathe, say, when you're at a desk or sitting in your car or waiting in line at the grocery store. It's okay to make sounds. It's okay to hear your breath pass through your nostril hairs. If it helps, you can even place your hands on your belly, on your lungs, and feel how they move. Sometimes we don't even understand or don't even realize how our belly, how our lungs move when they fill and empty. As you continue to breathe in this manner, your mind will start to wander, you'll start to think thoughts. You may even start to ruminate on a past thought or maybe a future to-do list, a task that lies ahead of you in your day. That's okay, that's what the mind does. It thinks, it analyzes, it problem solves. Can you just allow your mind to do what it does? It's just not the driver of your vehicle of experience right now. It has a back seat. Three more breaths using Dirga Pranayama. And then after your final breath, huge breath in through the nose, long sigh out through the mouth. One more of those types of breaths. Great job. One knee at a time. Bend your knees. Place your feet on the floor. Take your knees once again into your chest. Rock side to side. When you're ready, come back to center. Go ahead and place one hand on top of each knee. Start to circle your knee joints by controlling them with your arms. So your knees move in opposite directions. You're pulling them apart, pulling them back together. You're bending your elbows generously, almost bringing them to hover over the floor, and then straightening your elbows generously. Pause and then go in the other direction. Just a few times, working with your hip joints. Are you still breathing with Dirga? Try to breathe with Dirga the whole practice. And I'll remind you, don't worry. Okay. Eventually bring the legs back together. Set the feet on the floor. The arms can come down onto the floor too. Go ahead and take your feet wide apart, as wide as your mat, and then try out a few windshield wipers here, sending the knees side to side. The next time your knees are up towards the ceiling, inhale your arms straight up and down. Now you can either grab your elbows here with your forearms parallel to the chest, or keep your arms elevated with straight elbows. But when you're ready, your knees drift to the left, your elbows or your arms shift to the right. Inhale, bring everything back together or at center, and then switch. So working with a little bit more of shoulder stuff here, in addition to your hip joints. Of course, there's a little bit of twist, rotation happening in your spine. Bring everything back together here. Bring your legs closer together. Go ahead and straighten your knee joints. Inhale your arms up towards the sky. Exhale as you bring them above your head, thumbs to the floor. Think full body stretch here as you lengthen from toe tip to fingertip. Deep breaths into the belly and even the side lungs with all that extra space you just created. And with your next inhale, bring the arms up towards the sky and back down at your sides. Bend your knees. Prepare for your first yoga posture, bridge pose. So with your hands, your arms down at your sides, bring your feet to hip width distance apart. Your heels are fairly close to your pelvis. They're not touching, but they're pretty close. And we're going to lift and lower several times. So when you're ready to lift, push your feet into the floor, lift your pelvis into the air. Push your arms down into the ground too to lift your sternum. That's your breastbone. And then slowly bring your pelvis back down to the floor with a mostly flat spine. Adjust your feet if you need to before you come back into it. So when you're ready, go ahead and do that. Lift your pelvis high into the air, pressing your triceps, your elbows, your forearms, the heels of your palms, all 10 fingerprints, all 10 toe prints into the air, and slowly lower. Come on down. Now, at your own pace, pulse up and down from the floor. Try to keep your knees right on top of your ankles the entire time. Try to keep all 10 toe prints pressing equally into the floor the entire time. The next time you lift, we're going to hold. So when you're ready, lift your pelvis, pressing the arms firmly into the floor. Deep Dirga breaths, even when you hold a posture, deep belly breaths. And when you're ready, slowly come on down with a flat spine. Maybe take a couple of breaths to come on down. And once your pelvis is on the floor, straighten your legs into the air, maybe one at a time. So take the left and the right, pressing out through the heel. The next time let's do the left leg is in the air. Bring your ankle above your knee and your knee above your hip, or somewhere in that neighborhood. Grab onto your leg. Now imagine your leg is a rope, and as you exhale, you're going to climb up this rope. So when you're ready, start to grab higher on your leg. Maybe you come to the ankle, maybe you just come to the calf, but use your abdominal engagement to come into this little bit of a crunch. Still breathe as you slowly descend down your rope. Place the skull on the back on the mat, and then once again, one more ascent. all the way up the leg, and then all the way back down. Once you're back down, allow the leg to come all the way down to the earth. Wave this foot. And then let's get the other leg. Go ahead and place the foot on the ground, right leg high into the air. Flex your ankle, so pull the top of the foot in towards your shin, and then grab your leg. Slowly walk up. Exhale as you do so. Inhale as you come on down. One more time. Inhale, come on down. Great. Go ahead and set the leg all the way to the earth. Wave your foot. All right, from here, put your foot on the ground, pull the knees in towards the chest, rock a little side to side. Grab onto either the backs of the thighs or the shins. And now think of rocking forward and back along the length of your spine. So, keep your chin tucked in to your chest. As you start to build up a little bit of momentum, maybe do this several times. And then eventually come up to seated. Add your blankets. So sitting right on the edge of a fold. Maybe doing a little maneuver like that for your legs before you come into a seated position. Any little rocking side to side, swaying in your spine, movement in your shoulders, maybe just a shake of your head no. Before you come to stillness, elongate your spine. Take a few deep Dirga breaths to adjust to being in this upright position. We're going to get some lateral flexion into your spine next. When you're ready, take your hands to the floor, down at your sides, maybe just the fingertips, and start to lean into your right arm. Think up and over with your rib cage to create a sort of like a C curve with your spine. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, get the other side. Going back and forth, nice and slow. When you tip side to side, make sure both sides of your pelvis are firmly rooted to the floor so one side doesn't lift up as you tip. Let's add the arm next. So the next time you tip, bring the arm that's closer to the sky up towards the sky. Rotate your arm so your palm, when you bring your bicep by your ear, will face the floor. Try not to let the arm drift forward, but pull the shoulder back. Anchoring both sides of your pelvis to the ground. Inhale, lengthen up, and switch. Matching movement with breath, and breath with movement. Good. Come back to center and place your hands either in this palm to palm position on your heart. You can also make a couple of fists and just rest your knuckles right on your sternum. But allow your elbows to be kind of right up against your ribs in either case. So keep the length of your spine as we work with a couple of twists. When you twist to your right, imagine your spine not moving. So what I mean by that is that it's not moving left or right. Your spine is stationary, it's just pivoting, if that makes sense. So try twisting to the right 3 times by pulling the right side of your rib cage back, sending the left side of your rib cage forward, and then get the other side. Exhale as you move through your twist. Inhale as you come out. Keep the length. So remember, concentrate on the elongating in your posture. Also, don't let your nose move past your fingers. Your neck stays in line with your spine, and keep your nose in line with the fingertips. So after you go 3 times to the left, try going each direction a couple of times. So left and right. Good. Come back to center. Go ahead and bring your elbows by your lower ribs. Make a couple of soft fists and begin to roll your wrists. Really explore your range of motion and breathe with Dirga. Even though we're doing something super simple, super mundane, it doesn't even look like yoga, how can you still breathe with integrity, even though you're doing something pretty dull? Go each direction a few times. We're about to move into hands and knees, which is why we're working with the wrists. Give that a gentle shake, and then feel free to add maybe at least 1 blanket to the middle of your mats to protect your knees. Crawl onto your blankets. Put your hands or palms on the ground and come into tabletop position. Now, a couple of modifications for your hands could include making some fists and resting on your fingers with your knuckles facing each other. So the knuckles of your fingers facing each other. You could also double up on the front of your mat and put the heels of your palms right on the edge of the folds. Your arms are a little bit wider than your shoulder width distance apart. Your wrists are very slightly in front of your shoulder joints. Your hands are slightly externally fanned out with wide fingers or wide finger webbings. And you're grounding down in between your pointer and thumb fingers to strengthen your hands and your wrists. Now we've got everything set up, and your knees are also right underneath your hip joints. We're going to try out a few cat and cows in this position. So start by bringing your tailbone in between your legs. That'll begin to round your spine. Drop your head. Separate your shoulder blades. And then as you exhale, start to lift your tailbone towards the sky. Your belly will start to drop. And then lift the back of your skull as you allow your heart to come down in between your shoulders and pull the shoulder blades in towards each other. Going back and forth. Every time starting with the pelvis and allowing the spine to flow with that. Can you hear your breath? Good. Come back to center. Bring your hands in a little bit closer together. If you need to take a break for your wrists, sit on your calves and come up, or come up onto your shins, whichever feels better for your knees. Give your wrists a roll or two. I'm just going to flip around here so I can watch my clock. And after you give your wrists a bit of a break, bring yourself back to your table pose with your thumbs a little bit closer together. We're going to go through thread the needle next. So keep your left arm where it is. Sweep your right arm right out to the right. Open your chest towards the side of the room. Come back down to shoulder height with the arm, and then bring this right arm through this space, we call it the needle, with the palm facing the sky. Set the right side of your skull towards the floor, but you're not going to come all the way into it. You're going to come right back out, sweep that arm right up towards the sky, and then kind of come into thread the needle, but not really. We're going to resist one more time bring the arm up towards the sky, and then this time really come in to thread the needle, which looks a little something like this. You bring your right arm through the space, the palm faces the ceiling, and setting the side of your skull on the floor, the side of your arm. Now as you hold this posture, press your shins into the floor. Take a few deep breaths. And then when you're ready to release, that hand in front of your face, push down strongly to lift your upper body up. Sweep your right arm right up towards the sky one more time, and then place the hand on the floor. Any little movements here, go through those things. And then get ready for the next side. So, right arm, right hand stays where it is, left arm right out to the left at shoulder height. By twisting your spine, your arm moves. Try not to throw your arm back to twist your spine. Come back down to shoulder height. Bring your left arm through that space. Palm faces the sky. Try to come into thread the needle, but don't really resist. Sweep the left arm out to the left, up towards the sky. Coming into thread the needle, almost. And then resist. One last time, opening the chest, and then here, really come into the posture. Set the left side of your skull on the floor, the left side of the left arm. Deep, deep breaths. Pressing the shins down into the ground. Not smashing your ear into the floor. So if your ear feels smashed, just pick it up a little bit. And then get ready to come out. That hand in front of your face, push down strongly. Sweep the left arm out to the left and then up towards the sky. And then bring your hand back towards the earth, back into table. A little bit of maneuvering, breathing. Maybe even circle your tailbone behind you. So drawing circles with that bone. Retrace them, so go in the other direction. And then pause here. When you're ready, go ahead and sit back, remove this blanket and set it aside. We'll be coming up into standing next via downward facing dog. So go ahead and give your hands just a little bit of movement and then crawl up towards the top portion of your mats. All those little cues that we built up with our wrists and our hands and table apply right now too. So when you're ready, tuck your toes under. Your knees are underneath your hips, by the way. Lift your knees up like an inch above the ground. Hover here. Try not to let your head sag, but keep your neck in line with your spine. Build up some heat. Keep your belly muscles engaged as you slide your pelvis back first, and then straighten your knees a little bit. So the knees will remain bent. Continue to ground down in between your pointer and thumb fingers. At this point, consider pedaling the heels, so dropping one, lifting the other. Deep breaths. Feel your shoulders unshrug from each other, or unshrug from your ears. And bring your chin in towards your chest to elongate the back of your neck. Now pause your pedaling and moving into forward fold. So you can walk towards your hands and bring your hands towards your feet with your knees bent. So keep them bent. Really allow your spine to drape over your lower body. Look in between your legs at the wall, not the floor, the wall behind you. Shaking the head, yes. Shaking the head, no. Arms really loose. You can even grab your elbows here if you like. And then to safely come up from any bent over position, abdominal engagement, super important. Hands come onto your thighs with strong and consistent belly muscle engagement. Come up halfway with a flat back. Now keep the knees bent, keep your elbows tucked in towards your lower ribs to widen your collarbone. Deep breaths. As you keep your belly muscles strong, lift your arms out side to side in this sort of hovering airplane position. With your next inhale, push into the floor. Continue your belly muscle engagement, flat spine as you lift all the way up. Once you're standing, outstretch your arms to feel your pectorals lengthen, and then slowly bring your arms down at your sides. Give them some movements. Separate your feet. Going through a few empty coat sleeves, what we call empty coat sleeves. Lift your heel as you just let your arms hit your front and back sides. Maybe close your eyes and smile and breathe as you bring an arm up and across. Just a few times for a little bit of spontaneity, a little bit of playfulness. All right, start to slow it down. Bring your feet back underneath you. We'll do one standing posture, mountain pose, really foundational pose of yoga. And it goes a little something like this. So go ahead and look at your feet. Bring your inner arches parallel to each other. Your feet are also hip width distance apart. As well as your femur bones. That's probably the better cue. Your femur bones are hip width distance apart. Now, elongate your spine, but connect to the earth with your toes, the balls of your feet, the heels, not spilling weight into one edge of your foot. Bend your knees a tiny bit. Now, allow your pelvis to feel heavy, but your spine grows in the other direction, towards the sky. Engage your belly muscles, so pull your lower ribs in. As you lengthen your arms towards the floor, reach out through your finger webbings. Deep breaths, deep Dirga breaths. Moving forward, inhale your arms out side to side. Turn your thumbs back so your palms face the sky. Unshrug your shoulders. And then when you inhale, bring your arms a little bit above shoulder height. So feel this nice wide stance in between your arms. Continue to breathe, holding this posture, maintaining connection to the earth, but also feeling a sense of expansion, of strength in your upper body. When you're ready to come down, bring the arms slowly down. Turn your thumbs forward somewhere along the way. Arms at your side. Hold on to your heart and your belly. Close your eyes and soften and take a few breaths. When you're ready to come back down onto the floor, release. Step up towards the top portion of your mat. Come back into mountain, the first part of it anyway. Inhale your arms out side to side, all the way up overhead. Eventually back down at your shoulder level. Turn your thumbs up towards the sky so your palms face forward. Bend your knees slightly, but bend at your hips more. Belly muscles strong. Come down halfway with that flat back. Deep, deep breaths. And then all the way down to forward fold. Shaking the head yes and no if you like. And then bending your knees so generously that your palms come to the ground, setting up for plank pose. Take one leg back at a time. Put the balls of your feet on the ground. Pressing back through your heels and then lowering your pelvis so it's lower than your heart but not sagging. So use your belly muscles to support lumbar spine, grounding down in between your pointer and thumb fingers, and your elbows are bent just a little bit. Deep, deep breaths. Now, bring one knee to the floor, bring the other knee to the floor, try out some movements. Good. Now, set your pelvis down on the ground, sweep your legs forward. With your pelvis in the middle area of your mat, slowly come down into your back. Feel free to do any movements here. We're kind of winding down at this point, but we'll go through a spinal twist here next. When you're ready, take your feet to the floor, arms out in what we call T position, so they're at your shoulder height and your palms are touching the ground. Make sure your arms aren't above your shoulders, but they're actually at your shoulders height. Now when you're here, bring your knees above your hips and your heels or your ankles are at your knees height. You can allow the legs to touch if you want. Try not to bring your knees in towards your chest. They're on top or above your hips. Now start to send your legs a little to the left and a little to the right. Not too crazy here in the beginning. Use your arms as anchors to stabilize your upper body and breathe. Start to grow the distance in which your knees stop. So maybe they come towards the floor to hover, and then with lots of abdominal strength, pull the knees back up, send them to the other side to hover, and then pull them back up. Go each direction, maybe a few times, nice and slow, not letting gravity get the best of you. If you're interested in holding this, allow your legs to come all the way to the floor, the next side that they're headed towards. Invite your hips to soften, invite the top leg to rest on the bottom leg, and maybe the bottom leg rests on the floor. Deep, deep belly breaths. When you're ready to come out, belly's engaged, lift your top leg, lift your bottom. Come back to that first position. Feel free to set your feet on the floor to just adjust anything that needs to be adjusted. Come back to the first position and slowly come to the next side of your twist. Letting the legs drop with ease, with control. Deep, deep breath. Sometimes having something like a towel in between your legs or in between your knees here can be beneficial. So add that for yourself if you think it would be beneficial. Can you feel your knees right on top of each other? So the top knee will be tempted to drift back, like up the thigh, up the bottom thigh. But try to keep each knee right on top of each other. Try to relax your shoulders, especially the one that's tempted to pick up right now. Deep belly breaths. And then with control, with belly strength, lift one leg, the top leg, lift the other leg back to that first position. Set the feet on the floor. Adjust anything that needs to be adjusted. Maybe go through a full body stretch. Consider also bringing the knees into the chest, rocking side to side. You can also think of doing happy baby, which is a matter of pulling the feet towards the sky, starting to pull your knees apart from each other and down towards the floor. You can hold on to your shins with your elbows inside your knees and rock side to side. If you can hook your big toes, great. Not a requirement for this posture. Let your head roll on the floor with you. Smile, breathe. And then when you're ready, come to stillness. Any last movements, any last yoga postures, any last little things that you need to do before you lie all the way down and come into your Shavasana or your relaxation time. Consider rolling up a blanket and putting it underneath your knee joints so they don't lock as you rest. Softening from head to toe. Take a few huge breaths in through the nose, long sighs out through the mouth. Softening, especially in the face, the forehead, the corners of your eyes, your jaw, your teeth, especially your back molars, your throat, the shoulders, arms, hands, knuckles, chest, belly, pelvis, hip joints, buttocks, pelvic floor, inner groin, the thighs, the knees, shins and calves, ankles, feet, toes. Everything soft as you rest and breathe. Allow the work that you just did to integrate itself within you. Release any pranayama technique. Allow your body to breathe for you.